Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we've got another Loki review, shortly after the one we just uploaded, but we've managed to be able to record this one a little earlier than the last one. So we've got the penultimate episode of the show for Loki, which I feel like we say this every time, but that's gone quick, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. Especially with this show, because it's been so
really
good.
Fast, yeah. Well, I've actually really enjoyed this show a lot more than I thought I would, to be honest. I thought I'd like it, but I didn't know I'd like it this much. But yeah, episode 5, Journey into Mystery. Let's just get straight into it, because there's no real way of talking about this episode without spoiling it, I feel, because there's a lot that happens in this episode, and it's a very, it's full of a lot of Easter eggs. That's why
yes, there is a lot to talk about.
There's a lot of Easter eggs, yeah, so, yeah. For those of you who haven't seen the episode yet, just know that we loved it, and you should definitely go and watch it. Go and check it out. It's on Disney Plus now. But let's just get straight into the spoilers, plot discussion, because I feel like there's a lot to talk about here.
So we start. Well, actually, let's recap about the end credits scene last episode.
Yeah, because that's very important to the start of this one.
It left off at obviously a very weird point, where it was the other Lokis, classic Loki, boastful Loki, and Kid Loki, and Alligator Loki, or Loki Gator, as he's now known by the Marvel fans.
Yeah, because they don't call him Loki Gator in the show. But
they don't call him that, but I think that's just what the fan base is calling him, I guess. And it picks straight up from there, really. It's just so much going on with this episode, and it's so good that I don't really know where to start, because you get basically 2 points of view from this episode. You get the point of view from Sylvie, and you get the point of view from Loki, until they meet up, basically later in the episode. And, so basically, Loki is talking to the other Lokis at the start, and they sort of explain to him that they've kind of just been surviving, because there's this big monster called Elias, which is basically just hunting them all down. And it's a big cloud monster. When you see a cloud, when it's got, associated with Marvel properties, especially live action ones, I think we can all
cast our minds back to a depressing time. Yeah,
but this was actually done well, because Elias was actually made to look exactly how he is in the comics, and
that the way they designed Elias looked really cool, and he's pretty significant in this episode because he does a whole lot. And I liked how he wasn't just like Galactus. He wasn't just a cloud. He actually had a more of a design to him, because he kind of looked like a proper monster.
Yeah, and they're basically, Loki's been just said, we've been surviving since we got pruned. So this is where when you get pruned, this is where it takes you to the void, which we know that's what it's called now. And so basically, I think what happens is, the rest of the thing is, they have a little sort of funny moment with Loki and the rest of Lokis, where they just sort of start undermining him and saying, Loki has this, takes his dig at Kid Loki, saying, "What have you done?" He goes, "I killed Thor," and then that's when they,
he respects him at that point, I guess, because he realizes that if he can take down Thor, then he's worth.
Yeah, he's serious business. He's not messing about. And then they go to their bunker, which they've been hiding out in, and this is where we get a good few Easter eggs. When they're walking there, there's so many. I mean, first of all, even before that, when they're walking around and it pans past the whole kind of wasteland of the void, they show the Stark Tower looking thing that we were talking about, but it says Kang on the side of it. Oh yeah.
Which I wonder who that's alluding to. I mean, it's got to be Kang, right?
It has to be. At this point, they're just taking the piss if it's not. I think it should be Kang. There's too many. Especially Elias being in this episode. He's a very big connection to Kang in the comics. He's the character that's most associated with Elias in the comics is Kang. So there's not really any other character that's really associated with him. Except for Ravonna, she can be associated with Elias in the comics a bit. But aside from that, we get that Easter egg, which could be significant. I don't think that'll be a throwaway one. But we also get a few other Easter eggs. We get the yellow jacket helmet, which is a bit weird.
Yeah, which that was interesting. I guess that's probably from some reality where Yellow Jacket becomes giant instead of Ant-Man.
Maybe.
So I guess that's why it's so big. That's my guess.
Also, because that could be another reference to Kang, because Kang's going to be in the Ant-Man movie, so that could be another reference to Kang.
Yeah, possibly.
And then we get the Thanos copter. That's beautiful.
I was not
sick.
expecting that at all. But I mean, it was just I'm happy that they're doing hilariously stupid things like that.
And they're not forcing it either. It's just sort of naturally there. And they brought the meme to reality, I guess, in the MCU, where the Thanos copter actually exists in some timeline, I guess, or multiverse within the MCU. And then we see Frog Thor in a jar trying to get to Mjolnir. So that was pretty cool. And then I think we cut back to Sylvie. I think some point around there when they go into the bunker, they cuts back to Sylvie when she's with Ravonna, and
when she's saying to her explain everything pretty much.
Yeah, they have this whole thing where Sylvie and Ravonna, they tease that they might work together, which completely falls apart within minutes because obviously Ravonna's setting her up. Ravonna's made to be a bit clueless about what's going on because she's like, I want to know who lied to me about the TVA and stuff, and then I don't know if that's what they're gonna play off, or if she actually does know something. Because we can assume.
I think she's lying. I think she's. There's no way she doesn't know what's going on with the TVA.
Yeah, I think I'm not 100% sure. I guess she seems pretty clueless in this episode. She doesn't really give anything away if she does know something, but I assume that she's been made the top, I don't know, the top authority past the timekeepers, timekeepers in quotation marks. She must know who made her that. I don't know. I guess, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. They don't really explain that, but obviously Ravonna turns on Sylvie and then gets the, guards to try and prune her, basically. But she just prunes herself, because Ravonna actually tells Sylvie that the void, the pruning someone takes them to the void. And
which is a desolate wasteland at the end of time or whatever. Which I mean, that's kind of what we said, right? We did say it was at the end of time, but we said that it was basically just a wasteland where they just dump everything.
Yeah, where they dump
including
everything,
all the reset devices, which I think we guess. So fair enough to us, I guess that we got that right.
Yeah, I don't know with the reset devices, because I had another sort of little theory with the reset devices. I was thinking that the reset devices could be a way, because obviously Kang's a conqueror, right? If it is something to do with Kang could be using those reset devices. They could be just ways to conquer that timeline, instead of actually throwing them into a wasteland. But there is buildings and stuff in that wasteland, so yeah, it might just be everything's just getting thrown into there, and it's kind of it was reminding me of Sakaar, when everything just opens up and falls from the sky. It was reminding me of Sakaar in Thor Ragnarok, how everything just opens up and falls into from the sky. So yeah, and then Sylvie prunes herself and ends up in the void, and Sylvie thinks that obviously she has this idea that whoever is behind the TVA is hiding within the void, or shortly past the void. So that's why she's gone there. She's also gone there to find Loki again. But she also says to and this is the part where we see Mobius. Mobius is back, and he's in his
in a pizza truck.
He's in his pizza
truck.
truck.
It would be sick if it said Joe's
Planet.
Pizza on the side of that. If it said Joe's Pizza on the side of that truck, from Spider-Man 2, that would have been funny. But yeah,
they could have done a Pizza Planet thing, from Toy Story.
Yeah, or that would have been cool as well.
That's what I was thinking, that they could have done that. But Mobius obviously back. They don't really make a big deal out of it. He's just sort of driving around, trying to escape Elias, and then Sylvie obviously says to Mobius that I don't think Loki's alive. I'm not having any hope. That's not what really matters right now. And we see Loki and Sylvie and Mobius's proper first on-screen interaction. And and it's kind of similar to how Loki's interaction is with him, like sort of joking around and stuff. And yeah, I guess then we can talk about how all the Lokis in the bunker thing. That part was pretty good.
And there was quite a few references there as well with the like all the arcade machines around them. They had a Polybius machine, which is cool. So I guess for those of you who don't know the story behind Polybius, it's like a arcade machine. It's like some urban legend arcade machine where apparently it was in arcades back in the day, and then one day it was just like mysteriously taken away by people in suits, and like people thought it was made by the CIA to like get data or something. I don't remember the full story, but I guess this show is saying that the people who took the machines away were with the TVA, which is why they have the Polybius machine in there, which I think was cool. That's just like a fun reference.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then we have like obviously loads of stuff to do with the story. Like Loki was like, "What the hell are you guys doing here?" And he was like, "Yeah, we've all been pruned, and we all come from different realities where different stuff happens." The classic Loki says, "I go like I'm from the reality where Thanos doesn't actually kill me, and I just escape from Thanos and go and live like on my own. And then when I try and go meet back up with my brother, the TVA just take me because that's apparently the breaking timeline." And then I don't think we get much from boastful Loki.
Yeah, he wasn't as like prominent as the other two were.
Yeah, and
compared to how much they were in the episode.
And then Kid Loki was just like, "Yeah, I'll kill Thor, so that's why they took me." And then Alligator Loki was just being very aggressive to everyone, just trying to snap at everyone because obviously he can't talk. And even though we saw Throg, well, who knows if it is Throg or if it's just...
I think it's the frog version of Thor, because like when Loki turned him into a frog or whatever...
We saw him making grunt noises, I guess, so...
yeah.
I don't know what's up with that, so... I'm assuming they're not from the same universe. Those grunt noises
were taken from Avengers 1, by the way. Those grunt noises were taken from... They were like pitched up from a scene in Avengers 1, which I thought was cool.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, then we get this sort of this knock at the door, and it's just a bunch of other Lokis, like these loads of weird ones, and President Loki's obviously leading them. We thought President Loki was going to be normal.
If there's like, a normal Loki, If there was one like slight issue, which I mean, it's kind of nitpicking, I guess, that I had with the episode, it felt like President Loki was just there so they could put him on the trailer to like excite people. I don't know, that scene didn't really feel like it had much of a purpose.
I kind of wish that President Loki was the normal
it's fun,
Loki.
Don't get me wrong. But yeah.
Because I think that look for Loki is better than any other look he's had in the show, except for his like normal Avengers 1 suit. Because he has the helmet as well, obviously. Like this like current version of Loki just is wearing like a shirt and just a suit trousers kind of thing. So I wish it was him, but obviously it wasn't. They all just like... President Loki's like the leader, but then he obviously just gets turned on, and there's like a big brawl for all the Lokis just trying to basically take the bunker.
President Loki's hand gets bitten off, he starts screaming like a girl.
Yeah, that part was good. That Loki's hand gets bitten off, and that was quite funny. And then pretty much we see boastful Loki trying to like push them all up with his like fake Mjolnir kind of thing. And then classic Loki's just sort of made projections of the other one, them to distract them so they can get out. And then they get out, and then pretty much what happens then is that Elias is chasing Sylvie and Mobius, and then they meet back up with Loki and then all the other three Lokis. So Loki says to the other two, Kid Loki and Classic Loki, I'm going to go and fight Elias like head on. And they said that's not a good idea. Basically, we'll take you to him, but we're not coming with you. And then that pretty much sort of... well, that's what you think. That's like the end for them there, because when he meets back up with Mobius and
Sylvie,
they find like shelter in his hut while they do a plan, and then this part was a bit emotional when Mobius goes back to the TVA and he says, "I'm going to burn it to the ground," and then he says bye to Loki, and then
Loki hugs him and all that stuff. Yeah, it's like nice moment.
I think that might be the last we see of Mobius in the show, maybe.
Possibly until we eventually cut back to the TVA, because that's bound to happen, I think.
Yeah, we'll probably see a bit more of him in the last episode. I'd be very surprised if we didn't. I think a lot of the MCU fans now, like the ones who are watching, like very tuned into Loki, want to see a scene where Mobius on a jet ski. So
yeah,
they'd be
I don't know if
stupid
we'll
not
get
to give us that.
it'd
But
be cool if we did.
yeah, it'd be cool if we did it. But yeah, aside from that, we get the touching moment with Sylvie and Loki, but she's like, I've never had friends before, or whatever, sort of relationship thing, and he makes them a blanket. I'm still confused about why Loki never uses, like, all the powers that he's currently using in the normal, like, MCU movies, but I guess that's what this show's for.
With the sword, he doesn't have it, like, before that. The one that Kid Loki gives him.
Yeah,
with
true.
like that's like one of his main powers in this episode, and the enchanting thing. They kind of did the same thing with WandaVision with the enchanting thing, where it's like he doesn't know how to do it, and then he sees Sylvie do it, and then he just automatically knows. Which
I don't think that's him doing it. I think that's just Sylvie like using him to do it,
channeling it through him. Yeah,
yeah, channeling.
Well, I don't know because then so he says to Sylvie, "I don't know how," and then she says, "You do because you're me." Pretty much, that's like pretty much what they say as an explanation. So I guess that kind of makes more sense than the whole Wanda doesn't know how to do runes and then she just works it out magically.
Yeah, that's
thing.
true.
But yeah, the whole thing, even the scene with Sylvie and Loki that we were like leading up to before that was cool as well. Like when Loki gives her the blanket and all that, they were like talking about what they plan to do after they've pretty much like finished. I think that whole scene was cool.
Yeah, and then he says we can figure it out together. And then pretty much after that, we get the sort of final battle of the episode where they fight Elias. And then they can't really enchant... Basically, the main plan is to enchant him. And then they can't really do it. And then they can't really cause a big enough distraction. Loki goes over to the side and tries to say, like, hey, Elias, come over here. And then it kind of starts to work. But then he's basically just too big because obviously he's just this massive cloud monster. And he takes up a lot of the wasteland. And then we get what I think is one of the best scenes in the show, if not the best scene in the show, where they're basically struggling. Where they're basically struggling, and then classic Loki comes. He comes back, even though he said he's gonna go and try and go back to that bunker thing. He comes back and he makes basically this illusion of Asgard, so Elias would get distracted, try and devour it, and we see him form it with the magic, and I just think it looked amazing. It looked great.
And that scene where he was like standing there, like kind of just like with his arms like to his side. It was so cool. Like, I thought that was like a really good. And also Richard D. Grant throughout this whole episode, last like episode in that review, I was saying that like Richard D. Grant's like perfect casting for classic Loki, and this episode proved it. I was like so happy with what they did with him. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, and
like the whole thing with classic Loki.
And as far as we know, he dies in the episode. I think they'll keep him. I think they'll keep him dead because the way he went out was perfect. Just laughing. Because I feel like that's what a classic Loki would do. Maybe not an MCU
I
Loki,
agree.
but I feel like that's what a classic Loki would do.
Because like he was just sitting there, like he even got his evil laughing. Like Richard E. Grant's like, if there's one thing you can do, it's I feel like it's like evil laughs. So that was like great. They managed to get that in there, and it was just. I don't know. It was just great.
It was like a true God of Mischief kind of moment, and I think that.
Yeah, he felt like your classic. Like, I mean, I guess that's the point of him in his name, classic Loki. He felt like the kind of classic, typical comic Loki that we like all know and love.
Yeah, and I'm so glad they did that in the show. That's one thing I'll definitely be just like very, very happy with the show, no matter what happens in the ending. I'm so happy they did that, and I think that's what topped it for me and made this my favourite episode of the whole show so far. And then that's what I think my favourite scene. Because then, obviously, we see Loki and Sylvie enchant Elias, but we don't really see, like, usually when Sylvie enchants people, she sees into their mind, but we don't really see anything from that. He just sort of just, dies, I guess, or, like, he moves away. From like he creates a path.
I guess it's like it's closer to how her enchanting worked in the first 2 episodes where she was like mind controlling people basically.
Yeah, true. So basically, he kind of moves away and forms a path, and we see a house, like a big house castle kind of thing, and that's
which as soon as I saw that, it like my mind instantly snapped to Doctor Doom, even though I know that it's most likely not Doctor Doom, but that'd be cool if it is. I know it's not. But,
well, Doctor Doom does deal with. He does a lot of stuff in the comics. Doctor Doom.
Yeah, Doctor Doom does all sorts. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very I don't know how
versatile
to say it.
villain.
Yeah, he's very versatile
Yeah.
in terms of what he does. Magic, he does everything.
Mhm.
So if it was
Yeah.
him, I'd be if it was him
I
instead
know
of
it's
Kang.
not, but yeah, that would be cool.
If it was him instead of Kang, I'd still be very delighted. I think that's the only other person it could be, and I'd still be very, very happy with. But I don't think it'd make any sense just because Fantastic Four is not on the way anytime soon to set up that villain that early. It would make sense to set up Kang more after all the references they've dropped, and that he's appearing in a movie sooner. So, also, Doctor Doom hasn't been confirmed for the MCU at all. So that'd just be completely out the blue.
Yeah, unless because maybe the Fantastic Four movie will do some other villain first, maybe Super Skrull or someone. They already have Skrulls in the MCU, so I kind of dread to think what Super Skrull would look like in live action with the Skrull design now, but maybe they'll do him or someone else first.
I guess we'll see, but that was pretty much the end of the episode for that. One thing.
Yeah, the only other scene.
Go for it.
Yeah, do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Alright, I think the first thing, the only other thing that we missed was that scene where Ravana was talking to Hunter B-15.
The prison scene, prison scene.
Where that kind of alludes to the fact that Ravana might not know what's going on, because Hunter B-15 even says so, like, you want to know this as much as I do, like, who's behind all this. Even though, I guess, I don't know, I feel like she's still lying. I think she's just playing dumb.
Maybe,
she doesn't know who it is.
I don't know, because if she was really that, like, in a panic, she would go to the void herself, but she hasn't gone yet. That's the only thing. But also, one other thing I want to mention, which I just like legit realised now when you mentioned Hunter B-15. Where's Hunter C-20? 'Cause she got pruned.
Dead?
So, no, didn't she get pruned?
They didn't say that.
Oh, did they not say that? Okay. Yeah, she's probably
I just said deceased on the thing when Mobius, Mobius had her, what was it? Ravana's tempad, that was it. Had Ravana's tempad and it said deceased on there, so I assume they killed her.
Oh, fair enough.
Maybe
I guess she wasn't that important anyway, to be fair. But
maybe she's in that castle.
Ugh, God, can you imagine if it's her? The big.
You know what
I
was thinking could have possibly happened?
Yeah.
You know all the people that get eaten by that by Eliath?
Yeah.
Do you think they're in some sort of prison in that place, or do you think they're fully dead?
Maybe they'll be maybe they're like Kang's army or something.
Yeah, or in some time jail or something, yeah. I don't know.
I think, or maybe they're just fully dead, who knows, but I think, one other thing, that's the last thing I want to mention, then we could talk about a few theories before we end it off. There was, obviously, again, the Kang thing. Everyone said that when Elias cleared path, the colours that were the background colours that we used when they were shooting it represent the colours of Kang. So the green, the red, the purple, and the blue. So
the blue, yeah, I did notice that those colours were there.
I could
at
see
least
that,
green and purple mainly.
If they've thrown, I was watching a video earlier. Shout out to New Rockstar's very big channel. And someone on there was saying that they've thrown too much at us, even more than they threw at us through Mephisto references. They threw too many more Kang references
to make
for
it
not
obvious,
to be Kang. Yeah, for not to be Kang. So, I think the main thing about next episode is just finding out who it is. That's the last thing. And
I think that the other possibility that people have said, because like you said, they have thrown a lot at us with Kang. If they don't want to take the kind of predictable route, which I wouldn't mind if they did go with the predictable route this time, because I wouldn't mind seeing Kang, because he's one of my favourite Marvel villains. But I think another interesting twist would be if it's another version of Loki. I know that you weren't too interested in that idea, but I think that could be really interesting.
I don't care, because after seeing classic Loki, I don't want to see any more Loki unless it's Tom Hiddleston. That's basically it.
Yeah. No, that's what I think it could be. I think it could be Tom Hiddleston, maybe some more powerful version of him or something. I think that'd be a poetic way to end it.
The only thing that would probably interest me in that is if it was Tom Hiddleston's Loki that maybe had something like the Infinity Gauntlet or something like that, something that made him OP. I think that's the only thing that would really interest me. But considering every Loki looks like they've turned good, it wouldn't be surprising if that last person, the person behind all of it, was one evil Loki. Because really, even the Lokis that attack the bunker, they're not really fully evil. They just try to survive.
Yeah, they just want to rule over the void, I guess.
Yeah, and who knows? I still think it's too good enough to not be Kang. And people saying if it is another version, like you saying that it could be interesting if it's Loki, if it's another Loki. If it's not Kang, I will riot. That's all I'm gonna say. But
I won't riot. So the thing I'm thinking is it could be some other subordinate of Kang, and then Kang will be the post-credit scene. Because obviously this episode didn't have a post-credit scene.
I don't mind that too, because apparently I think I saw something about. Let me just do a quick search about. I think a character called Tempest. I think.
Tempest.
I think it's that. Someone called Tempest, and apparently I think it's a she. She's like a bodyguard to Kang, and she like reports back to him. So if it's that could be another possibility. So if it's some bodyguard or like associate of Kang, and then Kang's the end credit scene, I would be fine with that as well. Because even if Kang's like the last thing, like the last scene, and there's no end credit, I'd be fine. As long as it's some.
Because I think that they might take the Thanos route with Kang, where they just show him in a scene at the end where Ravonna goes and talks to him or something. Yeah. As if Ravonna isn't playing dumb.
I really wouldn't mind if it was that. As long as we see just even if we don't see him, even if we just hear him, I'd still be pretty satisfied. Because then it just explains everything for me. Because if it's like another version of Loki, I don't think that would explain anything. I don't think that'd explain much for me. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I think could be Miss Minutes. Who knows?
I've heard that theory. That's one of the ones where I'd be like, I don't know about that one, depending on how they do it. But
I don't think it'd be Miss Minutes at all. We've only seen her twice properly, really, and she just seems to be sort of this android kind of thing. But I don't think it'd be her. So someone else. I saw another suggestion on Instagram where it was like an older version of Ravonna, like, and then that older version of Ravonna is the one that's like.
That's what, because the actress who plays Ravonna, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm not going to try because I'm going to end up butchering it. She said that. I think she said something like, someone asked her about Kang, and then she said that maybe we, because it's all time travel stuff, maybe we met in the future or the past. Who knows? So.
Yeah, someone did suggest that it could be an old version of Ravonna, and then they could still introduce Kang through that. But like I've been saying for like since the start of this whole Loki episode stuff, Kang's too big of a character to just introduce and finish his arc in one movie. That's not an Avengers movie. So
I agree. So, especially if Quantumania is like the other Ant-Man movies, where it's like smaller in scale. Yeah. I can't see them doing Kang justice if they introduce him in a movie like that.
I think Kang's story will be stretched along a lot of things. I don't think it'll end in Ant-Man either, but I don't think it'll start in Ant-Man either. So I think this will be the perfect place to start it.
I do agree with you there, because I think that this is like a good kind of jumping off point for Kang to show up, and I'd be all for it.
Yeah, I think if you don't know who Kang is and you're watching this video, I would advise you to familiarise yourself with him before next week. Only because
I'll tell you what to do. Go to. Oh yeah, go on.
I was going to say just because he's such an amazing villain. Just because he's such an amazing villain that if you familiarise yourself with him, even if you have a look at some comics, I think you were going to say this Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yeah, just go on to. For those of you, I assume you have Disney Plus because you're watching this show.
Yeah.
Go on to Disney Plus and go through Earth's Mightiest Heroes and just like kind of watch the episodes with Kang. I'm just going to go to it now to try and find episode numbers.
Yeah, even if you don't want to watch the whole of Earth's Mightiest Heroes, I'm pretty sure with Kang's arc, you don't have to watch.
It's pretty
before,
like standalone.
You don't have to watch the before thing, because if you know the basic gist of the Avengers, you'll just get it. So, and
I think it's like 17, 18, 19, 20. Around that like mark. I think it's 17 to 19. Those are the episodes of Kang in season 1. Just watch those episodes and you'll see what a great villain he is.
Yeah, and comics, and like if you want to read some of his first appearance comics are pretty good. And yeah, one other thing I wanted to mention, which I completely missed out, but I just remembered now, is when Mobius is driving his car, he's driving around that Sphinx thing in Egypt, Pharaoh's Sphinx.
The Sphinx.
That is actually ripped straight from Kang's first appearance, because Kang's before
Oh, that's pretty cool.
before Kang turns into Kang, he
Oh yeah,
he takes
he
the
was like,
form of like an Egyptian.
he was Egyptian, wasn't he? Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause I remember that now.
It's too much not to be Kang, so we'll see what happens.
At the same time, yeah, like we said, that they are being a bit obvious with it, so that's the thing that's kind of making me question whether it is Kang or not, but I guess, like you said, we'll just have to wait and see.
I'm really excited, though, for next week's episode.
Same.
Really excited.
I'm ready for this finale, and please stick the landing, please. WandaVision didn't for me. I mean, it did in some aspects, but mostly it had a lot of issues. Falcon and the Winter Soldier for the most part was good, but I think this one has the potential to be like the perfect ending.
Yeah, of course. It definitely has the episode to set it up perfectly. Now all they have to do is not make it stupid. And they haven't gone too stupid with the show, so that's why I have a bit of faith. They've kept it serious when they need to keep it serious, so that's why I'm thinking it's not going to be anyone like Miss Minutes or like any of the stupid like reveal. I think the main two contenders are another Loki or Kang.
Yeah,
you can sort of
and even if they take some other route, which, like, now that you've mentioned the old Ravana thing, I think that'd be great as well.
If they did that and there was still mention of Kang, I'd be fine with that as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know about this episode, and then everything to get you prepared for next week's episode. Like we said, there's loads of Kang references, so I'm not sure about like percentage-wise. I'd probably say, in my head, it's probably 60-40, Kang showing up 60-40 being either like a Loki or like a servant of Kang who goes back to like.
I'm not putting bets on that thing. That's like,
we'll see what happens.
I'd not do that. Yeah.
If you want to go and familiarise yourself with Kang, because I feel like this will link to him. Obviously, we told you the Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, thingy numbers, episode numbers. There's obviously just Kang comics that you can go and read. Even go watch a few videos online about, history of Kang and stuff, because there's been a lot of people doing those kind of videos for Loki, because everyone thinks he's going to be in it. So there's loads of videos like that to check out, and we'll be here next week with the final episode, so make sure you stick around for that as well.
And maybe if rumours are to be believed, at last Spider-Man trailer after advertising heard that joke like 1,000 times, people will say that it might actually come after the last episode of Loki, so who knows?
We'll see.
But I guess that's about it, so let us know what you guys thought of the episode of Loki this week in the comments below. Be sure to hit the like button, share this video around YouTube, and get more people to find out about it. Be sure to hit the subscribe button for more videos like this. Be sure to check out our Instagram, Twitter, links in the description. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. See ya.